Okay, today I want to talk about the Three Stooges animated pop culture piece. I did a previous video on it. I showed an old video where I explained to the factory about how I wanted the movements done. And this is now a little before. I'll link that video in the comments on this video. Uh, but here, this is when it started. This is around 2001. This was not my original idea. It was the owner's idea. He wanted to do the Three Stooges piece. We already at that time we were starting on the James Brown, I believe. Then we with Bing Crosby, Dean Martin. So we kind of had a line, so we called it the pop culture line, and tried to do different pop culture type of icon. We did quite a few, as many of you already know. Well, this one it kind of start here with the sculpts. So if you ever want to see the Three Stooges naked, here you go, without the anatomical parts. So basically, I think I took these photos. I'm not 100% sure. I was probably in China at the time, and I took these photos. And usually when I went over to the factory, I worked on a lot of plush items. I also worked on a lot of sculpted items. So my day would usually, first thing in the morning, I would go meet with all the sculptors and look at what they were working on and kind of talk about it, give them some direction if I could. And then like after lunch, I would go back and look at it again, see what they had done. And then at the end of the day, I would visit it as well. So I was very involved in the sculpting. I have no artistic talent. I can't draw or sculpt or anything, but I know what looks good, and I can it can help in that regards. So you can see we've got got Larry here, and then Mo was a little too fat here. I'm sure I thinned him up later on. They made Mo fat, and I don't have a body sculpt as curly. I just have his head. So they probably made Mo fat and curly thin, and I had to change that. So this is the original sculpt, and Mo's pregnant, and that we had to change that. So that's what the original initial sculpts look like. And then let me move this. And then, here's the piece that we ended up doing where, Curly goes back and forth with the club. He raises up, goes back and forth. Mo hits him with his club, and Larry socks his arm socks him. Here's the packaging we've done on this. It's try me, I think you push the golf ball, and then it activates the item. One thing we did different here is a lot of times up to this point we had sayings and songs. So the item would have a saying, maybe do one saying, hit the button again, hit another saying, hit the button the third time, you get a song, and then two sayings, song. That was kind of the pattern, maybe three sayings, song, depending on the item. Here, this is the first time that I decided to put the sayings over the song. One of the things that might have spurred that is because this was an instrumental. I think at this point we hadn't done any instrumentals. There were always songs with music, and instead of doing the saying song, I just played the song, and then their voices are over it. So we kind of dubbed that over the music, and it was a very good effect. Did that a lot more times after this, but this was probably the first time I did this. Now there were items that we had done that were music only, but those were typically melody ICs, which are MIDI files that you can put MIDI. These melody ICs would have like 11 songs. You do it in Christmas, so you have all the public domain songs like Jingle Bells, Deck the Halls, etc. And but it didn't take up a lot of room because it was a MIDI file where you just had the notes on there, and then the IC you would direct, okay, hit this note, then this note, then this note, and that's how you can get 11 songs in an IC. Where typically you couldn't afford that. The IC would be too expensive if you did it with a recorded song. So that's how the only instrumentals we had done up to that point. And then with here we recorded the music for the song and then just put the words over it. So that's it. That's kind of the history of the Three Stooges. It's a very popular item. It did very well. There's plenty of videos on YouTube where you can see it actually working. I don't actually own a piece. I don't have a piece. So that's it on the Three Stooges. Thanks.